So far, I haven't seen an actual conflict of interest. And let me explain this. I've heard a lot
all
of
the scenarios?
No, there is an apparent.
Yes.
There is an apparent. We've talked about transparency, legitimate issue of concern. That's not the same as conflict of interest in terms of technical definition. We've talked about hypocrisy and fairness. Fair enough to discuss that you said this that time, you are saying a different thing now. And I have said that the politicians should avoid weaponizing and demonizing technical concepts because it will come to haunt them. This is a good example. We dealt with one earlier. This is another example where we are, if we follow this trajectory too, intensely, in a few years, we'll come back to this discussion. Let me say this. Conflict of interest is not a vague, ambiguous concept. It has a definition. It is a situation where the personal interest of a person conflicts and compromises their public function or public decision-making. And so the test is, what is the public function or decision that has been compromised or impaired by a particular personal interest? So far, in terms of the minorities, whatnot, they have not been able to clearly define which public function has been compromised or impaired by these personal interests. And I'm saying that until and unless we are able to settle on those issues, we haven't yet gotten to the issue of potential conflict of interest or actual conflict of interest. But that apparent conflict of interest, yes, there's an appearance, something, it may be real or not real. They are entitled to that. And a good place to go and say, is something happening or not, is tried. So that is good for us. It expands good governance. It allows the presidency and everybody to be held accountable. I think it's a good way to approach it. But for the issue of potential conflict of interest, they need to define for us, is the president going to be sitting on the committee that decides on how the Mahama will go or come or not? Is he the one who is going to have the final say? And his decision being compromised? If you don't answer that, to connect the two will seem a stretch. It's tenuous at best. But a real connection, I cannot see it. So yes, at apparent conflict of interest, there is a likelihood. There appears that there might be something. Let's test it. The test is that the facts should show that there is a public decision, a public function that is being impaired or compromised by the personal interest of the president.
It is the apparent realm of conflict of interest that Senor makes the point
Which
about.
Is fine.
Makes the point about the optics, okay, which is also a big part of governance. And
I like that, because what we are saying is that all public officers, which is what the Constitution says. However, not too long ago, we lost some of our family in a plane-related event. And as I've reflected, I was like, if I'm the president, and for whatever security reasons, I feel more comfortable with A rather than B, and maybe that's not yet in the public domain, it is something that all of us should keep in mind. I'm trying not to get into, this may be speculative, but I'm just saying that when we start talking about travel modes and security, and we may not have all the information, we should be cautious when we go down that trajectory. It's another place where